Welcome to Real People, Real Voices. I'm your host, James Jackson.
And I'm your co-host, Pastor Moore.
Always a pleasure to host with you.
It is a pleasure to be here with you.
In our COVID-friendly environment.
Yes, COVID-friendly. This is amazing. I mean, COVID has done a lot to our communities, but it didn't keep Real People, Real Voices down.
Yeah, Zoom, we were able to do that.
Yeah, we're able to keep moving in the right direction, and the community needs this show.
Yeah, I believe that. And when the infections were increasing a little bit, we had to stop coming in and go back to Zoom.
Yeah, it's amazing. But it's good to know that we're still doing what we're supposed to do right here at WHMBT Channel 40. Grateful to see that they're in compliance with all the COVID situations that are around us.
And we have a dynamic guest today.
Yeah, I call her our Surgeon General. We need to get others in our city to respect that.
And she is Dr. Virginia Caine.
Yes,
medical
Virginia
doctor
Caine, yeah.
and director and chief medical officer over at the Marion County Health Department.
Yes, and
a sponsor.
And a sponsor, and has done an outstanding job for as long as I've known her and had an opportunity to work with her. And in this city, she's not afraid to address real issues. Some people might not understand that, but she's one that can do that. And she has the community behind her, at least the one I'm familiar with.
Yeah, very knowledgeable, very well spoken, and presents well, represents our city and our people very well. So please stay with us. You're in for a treat. There's a lot that's going to be coming up here in the future. Dr. Anthony Fauci has indicated in the fall, every American's going to have to do what they can to protect themselves, and perhaps Dr. Caine can explain to us what that means. We'll be back after these messages. Welcome back to Real People, Real Voices, and we're joined by Dr. Virginia Caine. Welcome back.
Well, thanks. I'm always honored to be among this prestigious group of faith-based leaders.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You know, Dr. Caine, it's good to see you. I know you've been busy. First of all, I want to say this. I want to congratulate you for the work you have been doing. I think sometimes when we have someone as such as yourself in the field in which you're working, and people don't recognize what you have done to try to keep us all safe and to preserve life and to protect life amid all that is around us, we lift you. We thank God for you. I think our city would be much worse if you were not here. And we're grateful to have you here. And I believe a lot of lives have been saved because of some of the things that you've done in the last 24 months for us. Thank you.
Well, let me just say I've been very fortunate. I have an incredible staff, dedicated. They're 24/7. But more important than that, I think that they know their jobs. They have the right skill sets, and they're passionate about what they do. So I think when you have that, but the city of Indianapolis, let's face it, it's an incredible city. It's a city of collaboration, and you have so many unique folks that each of us are doing our thing. And I have to commend Real People, Real Voices, because you're doing that thing and helping us get the message out. And you want to get accurate information out there. So there's so many myths out there and people purposely putting out false information so that we can't take care of ourselves. And so we need trusted messengers such as yourselves.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Where are we now in the processes of all of this?
So let me just tell you, would you believe it, in the Midwest, when we look at our COVID epidemic, we're remarkable. Our positivity rate, that's the percentage of the number of people in your community who have COVID, we're at 2.2 2%.
Wow.
And we've been less than 5%, which is sort of our marker, for almost now 20 to 30 days. And when we look at the average number of cases that we have, we're only having 15 new cases a day. And even more remarkable than that, we're only having about 5 hospitalizations a day out of those 15 cases. And if we look at the Midwest compared to Chicago, Milwaukee, Detroit, Cleveland, Columbus, Ohio, even Louisville and Lexington, we have the best COVID numbers, meaning we have the lowest numbers compared to any of those cities per 100,000 population. And it's frightening though out there, because New York City now is starting to see a 30% increase in their cases. Philadelphia had a 50% increase in cases in the last 10 days. They're seeing 140 new cases per day compared to our 15 cases per day. And a lot does have to do with how many folks we have in our communities are immunized, have their immunizations, their vaccinations, they're up to date, and the number of our organizations that are continuing to wear masks when it's appropriate.
Yeah. Now, there's a new variant on the way.
Yes, there is.
Not only that, we also have a new booster out there.
That's correct.
To keep us where you would like for us to stay and do better, what is it that you would like the community to know?
So I think the first thing is, let me tell you about this new variant. It's called the STEalth, S-T-E-A-L-T-H, you know, like those Stealth airplane fighter planes.
Yes, ma'am.
It's called the BA2 variant. And it's more contagious than that Omicron variant, the one we saw in December. In January, we were experiencing over 3,000 cases per day. Our hospitals were packed, overwhelmed. People in the emergency rooms, in the hallways, because we didn't have enough rooms, we didn't have enough critical care beds in order to house all those folks. And that was the Omicron variant. And now we have a mutated variant from that one that's called the BA2 or STEalth variant, more contagious than that Omicron variant. The good news slightly is even though it's more contagious, it can infect more people, it doesn't seem to have as many complications, severity of the virus compared to like the Delta variant that we had and even the Omicron. So we're going to see a lot more cases, but we're hoping not as severe. But what's going to be critical, you don't want to be hospitalized. You don't want to have to be placed on a respirator where you're intubated, you know, and that's when you're at a critical stage of your condition. And folks, let me just say this. You don't want to become a long hauler.
That was my next one.
A long hauler. That means you contracted COVID infection, but about 18 to 20% of you are going to have long-time complications related to that COVID infection. You just say, oh, I'll take my chances. Well, hey, you can be in your 20s and your 30s or any age, and all of a sudden, you've got chronic fatigue syndrome. What do I mean by that? You're so tired. You're so exhausted. It's tough just to get out of your bed to go to your restroom. And this is not where, hey, I got a couple of good hours a day. This is where you are exhausted 24/7. And it's lasting months to years. And that's the number one fear that we got. But the number two fear from having and being a long hauler, and that is the brain fog, where it is caused some brain damage. in the sense that your ability to concentrate, your memory may be shot. You know, simple things that you don't have the ability to do your regular work on your job because you're just not quite there. Your ability to concentrate, your memory, substance, and then there are other organs of the body that you're impacted by this COVID. The number one thing it causes when you get an infection is pneumonia, and you can have such damage to your lungs, you may be left short of breath after that pneumonia is gone. Chronic shortness of breath.
All right, Dr. Caine, very, very important information. We'll get some more of that. We got to take a quick break. Stay with us. This is very important. We'll be back after this. All right, welcome back to Real People, Real Voices. We're joined by Dr. Virginia Caine, Marion County Health Department. We're talking about COVID in Shanghai. They're on lockdown. Folks can't even go out and buy food.
Right.
And generally, we see it happen there and then starts happening in other places. I've got my vaccination card, and I want to say to all of those of you who are against science and those of you who say all we have to do is pray. Well, we pray for cures, and that's what the Bible tells us to do. And everything that comes from the earth belongs to God. You know that scripture, the earth is the Lord's, the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. So do not be afraid of or demonize the vaccine. I've got my card, it is up to date, and there's space on here. Now, don't laminate your card, because some people, they want to laminate it and put it in their wallet or something like that. So Dr. Caine, there's a new place, or there's a couple of places on here. If you don't have, let me ask you this, if you don't have your card up to date, can you get the new booster?
Well, they have a system right now where we have a database so that we can look up, if you've been vaccinated in the state of Indiana, we can look up your vaccine status.
Dr. Caine, let me help you. We did a vaccine booster the other week.
Okay.
And there was a young man who came. We had an incentive, and the database went to work on it. And the database kept telling us, Dr. Jackson, that he's up to date. He says, no, I'm not up to date. I haven't had, well, and as we looked at the card also illustrated that he was up to date. So he wanted the incentive. So what we did was we just gave him the incentive and told him that now you're up to date. And so, but I've had experience in working with the database. The database is very effective in case, even if you lose your card, that database will let you know where it is. And it's a system of tracking us who have been vaccinated.
And I think sometimes why it's important a little bit, so if you should lose your card, some people are not always familiar with what particular vaccine I got, and whether, you know, we're all busy people and incredibly busy, and so did I get one dose, did I get 2 doses? And there's some vaccines like the Johnson & Johnson that was only one dose, so it's important to know which vaccine you received. And right now, we're only recommending 2 different type of vaccines, and that is the Pfizer
and Moderna.
Those are the Moderna dose. Those are the ones we now realize are the most effective against this new mutated strain that you get. And they're both 2 doses that you have to take them so many weeks apart for that second dose. And then if you are 6 months out away from that second dose, or 5 months really out from that second dose, you're now eligible for a booster dose, especially if you're over the age of 50 or if you are immunocompromised.
And when is this new booster available?
It's out.
So it's out. We've had it out now for about, I want to say about 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So it is available. And we have a number of sites you can get it through the health department. We partner with our library. Some of the library sites, you're able to get the booster there. We have 3 of our community health center sites from the health department side that you can get boosters from our sites. We have one on 21st in Arlington. We have one at the Picard Community Health Center off of Michigan. And we have one that's on the south side of town off of National Avenue. So we have a number of different locations you can go to. You can go to our website and look at it. And you can, get same-day appointments.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why, but we also love it where if any special event that someone wants to do, like a faith-based institution wants to host a vaccination, we have a wonderful new mobile vaccination van that we can help come out and host some vaccinations for special events.
The last vaccination shot, which is the 2,
Yes,
then the booster.
yes.
This new booster, how many weeks, months do we have to wait to get that booster? I think that's important. A lot of people have not been informed on the time lapse between boosters.
So it's actually after the second dose, you wait for 5 months. But now, if you had received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine as your original and primary vaccine dose, then you only have to wait 2 months to get your booster. So if you had received a Johnson & Johnson vaccine, you get your booster 2 months later. But if you got a Pfizer or Moderna vaccine, you wait 5 months later because their immunity lasted much longer than the Johnson & Johnson, so you need that booster. And what's the importance of the booster? Your immunity kind of wanes over time. The vaccine antibody protection wanes over time, so your levels of antibody gets lower over a number of months. And it can get as low as 38% is the effectiveness of your vaccine. Well, hey, we can do better than 38%. So if you get that booster, it prevents you from being hospitalized by over 90%. So only 10% of folks will get hospitalized, and it will also prevent you from visiting the emergency rooms by over 80%. So you can get COVID after you've been vaccinated, but it is a milder version, and you're less likely to have any complications.
I've had my first booster. Now I'm getting ready for my second booster.
Yes.
What is the lapse between boosters? Not versus vaccine, then booster, but booster to booster.
So they're probably going to say you'll probably be about 6 months.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm not ready yet.
So you're not quite ready yet.
Okay.
Right.
I'm in the starting blocks. Though.
Right,
I want everybody to know that we ought not to take this for granted. We need to get out there as soon as we get that 4 to 5 or 6 or however many months it takes. Find out. You can call the health department. They can tell you where to go, what part of the city you can go to, part of the county you can go to get that taken care of. We need to do that. And I think the more and more we get our people boosted, the better off our city's going to become.
Right. So 57% of Marion County have their vaccinations. They're 57% are fully vaccinated and up to date with their vaccines. 62% have received at least 1 dose, but they have not up to date with their vaccines. Yeah. And when we break it down by race, would you believe that if you were between the ages of 25 to 44 years of age, that our Latino population, 92% of them are vaccinated?
Right.
Wow.
92%, But when you look at African Americans, we're down to 35%.
Wow.
For blacks. And ladies, you're doing a little bit better job than our black brothers here.
What about white? How's that
So
population?
when the whites are vaccinated, they're at 51%.
Okay.
So we're African Americans are at 35, whites you're at 51%. Just this particular age group, 25 to 44. And then if you're Asian American, you're at 67%. And if you're Latino, you're at 78%. But if we're over the age of 65, we're doing pretty decent.
Great.
65% are vaccinated if they are white, and 61% if you're African American. So we're less than a 5% difference if we're over the age of 65. But the younger we get, especially the 0 to 24-year-olds, our blacks are only vaccinated at 17%. And, you know, part of the problem we have, especially with our brothers, one, I don't see people dying when they're young. Okay, I'm healthy, I never get sick, and so I don't need to take the vaccine. And what we gotta tell them is, hey, it's not about you, it's about your loved ones. So you may have a mother, a father, grandmother, or you may have someone in your close family contact that may be immunocompromised, that you unknowingly have no symptoms, become infected, and can spread it to your loved ones, and it can be life-threatening for them. Or you've got young children in that household that's not eligible for vaccination that can cause a serious infection in our young children, and they could end up in an intensive care unit. So if you don't want to do it for yourself, think about protect your loved ones.
Thank you.
That's really key.
Thank you, Dr. Caine. You've been a great guest. And thank you all for being here with us today. We'll be back with the rundown after this.
Thank you and welcome back to Real People, Real Voices. I'm your producer, Curtis Baker. Let me take the time now to thank our sponsors, Tamiko and Associates, Lavinia Summers Home of Funerals, Marion County Public Health Department, Lee, Castle, and Crawley, Al's Modern Clothing and Shoes, Northside Window and Gutter Cleaning, Fervent Care Christian Academy, and His Place Eatery. I want to thank Dr. Virginia Caine for all that she's done for this community. And also, I want to say good night to my favorite aunt in Kokomo, Aunt Jeanette. Good night, everybody.